Lonnie Spivak is the head honcho over the Davidson County GOP Nashville on Twitter, or the X Machine as I call it. And he joins us in studio today to talk about an event that's happening later on this month, and I'm a part of, and I'm proud to be so. Hey, Lonnie.
Hey, Matt. How you doing?
I'm good. Is your world like this all the time, where you're dealing with a lot? I mean, you deal in Davidson County with a lot of blue, and you're like a little speckles of red.
Yeah, and actually, I spoke with State Chairman Scott Golden about this. And he's like, this is the kind of time of year we're just kind of hanging on. There's so much of it that's out of our control right now. Like, we don't have control of what all the candidates doing, what all their campaigns are doing, and we're kind of holding on, waiting to see how things pan out right now.
So, tell me the state of the Republican Party in Davidson County.
Davidson County has a growing Republican Party, I'm happy to say. Over the last year, when I took over, we've been raising money, we've been holding events, we've purchased our own data set and donated it to all of our candidates who are running for office. So they have means for door knocking and all that other stuff. So we're really starting to put infrastructure in place to help those who identify as Republicans in Davidson County to run for office. And that's been a big reason why I decided to run.
How long have you been head honcho?
It's almost been 1 year. I took over in February of 23.
Why in the world?
I know. People keep saying congratulations.
I mean, I'm glad you are. I mean, because I love you being in that position, because I think there are more, I mean, not interrupt your answer, but yeah. I think there are far more Republicans in Davidson County than we would think at first blush. We call it a blue dot in a red state, but there are a lot of red dots within that blue dot.
And that's a good thing, because one of the things that we have been focusing on over this last year is how to get more Republicans out to vote for the local elections, which has really been, as you know, from the last mayoral election, it's just really been tough to get, the more than 100,000 Republicans in Davidson County out to the polls, especially in those local elections. So we've identified about 40,000 Republicans who are only voting in the presidential election. That's all they're doing. Mm-hmm. And we're putting together a campaign, a Vote Local campaign, to convince those people that how important it is the local elections are. Because, again, how many times has the president of the United States told you how many chickens your neighbor could have, or done anything about the traffic flow or potholes in your neighborhood? And, or the school board for that matter. And it really is so important at the local level to come out and vote your values. And that's where we've been missing lately.
You and I have talked about this from time to time at events that we get together at. And I don't remember your answer, so I'll ask it again. Did the redrawing of district lines and creating a new District 5, did that help you as Davidson County GOP, or did it hurt you?
I mean, now Davidson County has 3 Republican congressmen. So I would like to say that was helpful for us, where we have some actual representation in Washington that meet our values, where under Jim Cooper, we really didn't have that. The redistricting of the council seats is we're still kind of up in the air, whether they go from 40 to 20. And then what those lines look like, I'm sure there'll be court fights along the way on how all that goes. So we're not sure how that's going to work out yet, but I personally am happy to see the council reduced from 40 to 20.
You expect that will happen?
I talked to the Attorney General Scrimetti about that, and if his team says that they're fairly confident that they're going to win, I tend to believe him in that matter.
How focused are you? And I know he was just reelected as district attorney, but we talk often about crime. Primarily, when we discuss crime in Tennessee, we point out Memphis, obviously. We point out Nashville. We point to a lesser degree Knoxville, Chattanooga. But really, it's Memphis and Nashville that get pointed to with regard to a lack of prosecution or soft on crime type prosecution from the DAs. I know it just happened, I guess, in the last year that there was a re-election, but How focused are you, or are you focused at all on that?
Well, we're focused to the extent that legislation coming down the pike that will give the state attorney general more leeway in what he can pursue and prosecute in the event that the local attorney generals decide not to prosecute crimes like human trafficking. We're real interested in that, but he's going to be our attorney general for the next, I think, 8 years. It's a 10-year term from what I remember. And so it's hard to spend.
10-year term?
Yeah. It's hard to spend a lot of energy on
that's
that.
Just, I didn't realize.
It's a long term.
You just delivered news to me, and it just hurt my soul. It just hurt me around the guts.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that
so
long.
There's a couple things. So, Senator Pody has a bill that's in his committee that they tabled until this year, which will get rid of the runoff elections, which I'm really for. I think this last round in Nashville, we probably would have picked up 2 seats in the Metro Council, 2 additional seats in the Metro Council had that law gone into effect this past year. But going forward, it's something that's in his committee, and I really hope that he looks at that and gets that passed out of committee this time around.
We invited Lonnie on because there's a great event happening later on this month, and we'll get to that event in just a moment. But, I mean, it occurs to me that as we talk about Republicans in our Middle Tennessee area, the zone that we cover on Super Talk, and it's a huge signal, it's a huge zone.
Right.
We oftentimes, and I'm guilty of this as well, and I don't want to throw Mandis under the bus or Chris or Brian, but we kind of, do you feel like as you listen, because I know you do, Lonnie, do we dismiss Davidson County a little much because Democrats are in the majority?
I had this conversation, actually yesterday with Scott Golden, is nobody will take the Davidson County Republican Party seriously until we start doing 2 things, which is raising money and winning elections. And until we get to a point where we are doing that, and I'm happy to say that this past year we've raised more money than the county party has raised in the last decade. And
that's good.
And so we're hosting a Reagan Day dinner, which we haven't done in the last 5 or 6 years. And so we're starting to get the things in place to be successful in Nashville. But it takes people willing to invest in the local party in order for us to have the resources that we need to pull all this stuff together, because we can't print money. It has to come from somewhere. And things aren't free. And
there are plenty of red or red-like people that have money in Davidson County that will send their money to other places.
Yeah,
sadly, because they feel for some reason that it'll be more effective. And I don't know, maybe in certain circumstances they're right, but you'd like to keep that money at home.
We definitely would like to keep the money here. There's so much, we are so outmanned as far as, we don't have the unions at our disposal. We don't have the mechanisms of city government at our disposal. And if we want to host an event, it's man on the street, door knocking, getting people out to come do whatever it is the event's for. And those things, it takes money to run the social media ads. It takes money for the mailers and all the other stuff. And so, yeah, we definitely would like to keep that money at home. And that's one of the reasons why we were able to have this Reagan Day dinner coming up on January the 25th, is to help us raise additional funds to support those candidates who qualified for the ballot this time around.
And I'm telling you, folks, this is a big deal, this Reagan Day dinner. And if you don't believe me, look no further than the Master of Ceremonies.
I know. I reached out for the best. I got Matt Murphy. And actually,
you missed on the best.
Oh, no way. And actually, your very own Pamela Furr, she's going to lend her voice talents, and she's going to sing the national anthem that night.
Awesome.
She's great. And actually, Pamela and I go way back. Yeah. You probably don't know this but I ran for Congress for the 5th Congressional District against Jim Cooper back in the 2009-10 election season. And that's where I really came to know Pamela.
I have such great respect for you that you put your hat in the ring in 09 and 010.
I ran twice. I ran for Congress, and I've run for Metro Council. And now I tell people I'm a retired candidate. And then I told my wife, I was like, I'm gonna run for Republican County Party chair, and she's like, "They're your monkeys." And
you're glutton for punishment. Right. So, what's worse? What I want to know, Lonnie, what's worse? Losing the 5th district to Cooper or winning the Davidson County GOP chairmanship?
Listen, I think the running for Congress was just such a great experience. I met so many great and wonderful people. But, being the Republican County Party chair has been a great honor, and I'm happy to serve in that role.
So, we've got this event coming up on the 25th. I want to talk about it. Glenn Jacobs will be there.
Glenn Jacobs, he's the mayor of Knox County and former WWE superstar. But I also think he has higher aspirations for the state of Tennessee. And I thought it would be good for people in Nashville and Middle Tennessee to be able to hear from him in a way where they maybe not have a chance. And so we invited him to be our keynote speaker, and he graciously agreed. So we're excited to have him. We'll have some other speakers, including Representative Andy Ogles and some other candidates
That's great.
who are going to be running for office. We'll be doing a presidential preference straw poll that night. It's likely that if we have primaries in some of the congressional seats, it's likely that we'll do some straw polls in those races as well. We'll have a silent auction with some great items. Actually, Congressman Ogles' office, I got it today. They sent us a thing to where Congressman Ogles will do a clay shoot with 2 people at a date to be determined. We've got some LASIK gift certificates from Dr. Ming Wang. Wine. Just the silent auction is going to be great.
I love a silent auction. I'll push a silent auction. I'll go around and just write, numbers and, let the chips fall where they may. It freaks my wife out.
So I hope you buy everything.
I'll do my best until the money runs out, Lonnie. So I would note, I want to circle back to one quick thing.
Yeah.
We're limited on time, so I want to give people addresses and things that they need to do to go get tickets. But I would note, elections have consequences, elections matter, and our system of government matters. And had we a 20-member Metro Council as opposed to this 40-member Metro Council when they voted on the RNC would be here this summer.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think there's any question.
Absolutely.
Because if you lessen the numbers, then you broaden the area in which they serve. I think you limit the fringe elements of the Democrats coming in to serve in these individual council seats. And in doing that, I think cooler heads would have prevailed, and they would have accepted the incredible amount of financial benefit.
$100 million, I think it would have been for the area, for sure.
No question. All right, so how can folks get tickets to the event?
So the best way to find it is gopnashville.org. gopnashville.org. You can sign up to get our emails, and I highly recommend that you do that. But if you scroll down the page a little bit, you'll see a little thing for the Reagan Day dinner. You can click there. It'll take you to the Eventbrite page, and you can order tickets.
Lonnie, I'll be there. You know that.
I know you will.
I'll be emceeing. Glenn Jacobs will be there. Andy Ogles, amongst other local dignitaries.
Yeah,
Lonnie will be
Senator
there.
Haggerty's team will be there.
Oh, come on. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get Bill there. I'll get Bill there.
There are still, we've got this put together fairly quickly, so we still have a lot of representatives and elected officials who have not yet purchased tickets, but I'm sure plan to.
I have it on good authority that Matt Murphy will be asking John Rich to show up.
Well, I'd love to have him there.
Whether that happens or not remains to be seen. Chances probably slim, but we'll go for it. Lonnie, thank you.
Thank you so much.
GOPNashville.org for more information about the event or the GOP in Davidson County. Thanks, Lonnie, again.
Thanks, Matt.